Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, look at the Tyson! They haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not just second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it! Big Barry!
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to JPB Broadcasting, and more importantly, welcome along to Season 4 of the Porsche Cup Challenge. Over the next 12 weeks, we will decide our Pro and Am champions. And to kickstart things off, we're here in the leafy Kent countryside in the Garden of England at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Just a shade under 3.9 kilometres. It's got a lot of elevation changes, some very fast places to overtake, some very technical parts of the circuit, but what's more, we have a bucket load of 500 plus horsepower Porsche 992 Carrera Cup cars going into battle tonight. We'd firstly like to say a big thank you to our good friends over at Blackout, who are based in Brisbane, and they're serving the South Queensland area. They're electricians specialising in commercial and industrial renovations and fit-outs, along with power systems analysis and switchboard replacements. Well, joining you for tonight's festivities, it's myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and I'm pleased to be welcoming alongside me in the JPB commentary box for the first time, a very good evening, Dan Pebbles. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening. It's great to be here at the Brands Hatch circuit. Looking forward, to be honest, to get the season underway. Always excited that first race of the season. The nerves are there. Well, you want to perform well, and for us commentators, it's always, I think, the best round to commentate on, because you never know what you're going to expect.
Exactly. This particular circuit, established and opened back in 1950, spans just over 3.9 kilometres. That's just a shade over 2.433 miles. We're into the final throes of official free practice, and over the course of the coming 12 weeks, we'll be heading to the United States. We'll be heading to Italy, to Belgium, back to Florida, to the iconic Pays de la Loire for Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans. We've also got Silverstone, and we've got the fearsome Nürburgring Gesamtstrecke a little bit later on, around May 14th of the calendar. Then Suzuka, Magny-Cours and Long Beach finish off the season. Over the course of this championship, there'll be 9 scores out of the 12 that we take it into consideration. So if you get a few drop scores early in the season, Dan, what we'll find is that drivers might have to, we've already had some spinning going through one of the most fearsome and one of the most respected and most loved corners in global motorsport. That is, of course, Paddock Hill Bend. And you don't want to end up in the kitty litter on the left-hand side, let me guarantee you that much, especially if you're backwards, pointing the wrong way, going towards the wall, or sideways, as we just saw one of the Porsches go through. But that's going to be quite crucial over the next 12 weeks, that tonight is to start that initial foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to start the season off well, let's be honest about that. And, well, the better you can get underway, it'll take the pressure off the start of the season a bit as well. We've seen in the Formula 1 too, I think. Red Bull, of course, one of the stronger teams there, and they now know they have the quickest car. They are the quickest usually. Of course, cars here, all equal, so cars won't make a difference. It's purely the driver that will make a difference here in the Porsche Cup. So the drivers will have to do all the work, but if you can get your season off to a good start, maybe win the sprint or the feature race here, it'll be a little bit more calming, I think, going into to round 2.
Yeah, very much the case as we get into the last 2 3/4 minutes of free practice. Nicolas Nolde in the number 9 car, fastest of anybody, 1 minute 24.440. Last year's Season 3 Pro champion, Philipp Hammer in the number 60, looking to defend his title. Currently second on the timesheets, about 85 thousandths behind. Then it's Corey Lazarus, who was definitely in the thick of the action. And what's more, we're going to see quite a few drivers coming. This Corey placed 16th in the pro standings last season. Aidan Young rounding out the top 4 in the number 427. Igor Kos, Django Val, Marvin Strail, Michael McLeod, Danny Hugendorn, and Samuel K. Sproul rounding out the top 10, who at this particular moment in time are covered by just 0.66 of a second. And in this free practice session, folks, the top 31 drivers, rounded out by the 212 of Glenn Humberstone, completed by 1.8 seconds. And that really, at the end of the day, Dan, it sets a tone for tonight's qualifying. So for those people wondering about the format, it's a 15-minute open qualifying, which means drivers will normally get around about 4 laps to go. Then it'll be a 15-minute split race, and then we switch it around with a feature race with the top 8 finishers being reversed. So if you finish 8th in the first race, you're on pole position for the feature. So there's a big stellar crowd in this one. Some regular faces from the P-Cup Challenge over previous seasons here, Dan, and I'm rather quite excited.
If I look at my timing screen on my right-hand side, I don't know about you, but I'm very excited to see, about 40 cars this evening on track, and that's exciting to see. Always good to have a big grid. We did say in the green room before that we did expect about 40 cars out on track this evening, and we're getting exactly that.
Yes, indeed. So, of course, over the course of the season, it will be the battle for the Pro and the respective AM Championships. And last season, it was Philip Hammer that took the overall honour and glory, winning with 520 points, followed by Torsten Seifert on 417, then Benjamin de Baber rounding out the top 3. Then you had the likes of Frank Smith, Samuel Sproul, Gordon Ramsay, Danny Hugendorn, Emil Koopmans, Juri Steinmetz, Bruno Heinrich rounding out the top 10 in that. Misha Berger took the AM class title ahead of Ryan Vinfeld with Lee Holmes, Alexander Weifert, Gregory Vanks. Then you had Alexander Redhead, Bjorn Ritter, Philippe Strafforelli, and Glenn Humberstone and Jason Lyons rounding out the top 10. So this championship is a very hotly contested one, as there is the checkered flag for free practice. And now, Dan, comes on to the real exciting bit. It's those ultimate push laps. 15 minutes started ticking down already, and this is where the drivers are really going to start lighting up the rear tyres coming out of the pit lane, and then going into one of the most fearsome corners. Then they're going to build temperature into the tyres and the brakes, get things up to the optimum to make sure that these rear engine, rear wheel drive, flat 6 boxer powered cars are absolutely flying around this circuit.
Have to watch out though in these cars, because it's easy to just spin those rear tires up on traction and then just find yourself facing the wrong way. Because of course, as we know, no ABS and no traction control in these Porsche Cup cars. So the drivers will have to do all the work. No systems helping them. So that's going to make life a little bit more difficult in these cars, especially the opening few laps of a race. Qualifying though, I think the first lap, just take it easy, warm up those tires, warm up those brakes, and just go for it, going on to your first flying laps. Only 4 laps though, where you can set a time. Those 4 laps will fly by here at Brands Hatch. But what do you think in terms of strategy for qualifying? Will we see drivers wait a little bit before they go on to their fast lap in qualifying, maybe wait in pit lane a bit longer and go out on track a little bit later to maybe have a little bit of a quieter track?
I think it could be 2 sides of the story, really, Dan. And the main reason why I say that is, around this circuit, you know, you've got places like, say, coming through Surtees and then through into Pilgrim's Drop. You're going to want to, like we're seeing now with Torsten Seifert from WS Racing Esports in the number 76. What we'll find is that if you get a slipstream, it is completely crucial down that particular part of the circuit. But there are other drivers that will decide, well, I've actually got a setup that works better in clearer air, as Nicholas Nolder is already going purple in the opening 2 sectors. And you can understandably, well, with the teams that we've got here, Dart Esports, WS Racing Esports, having encountered many of the teams, like the big tier teams, such as these 2, who actually raced in the ADAC Digital GT500 last December at the Sim Racing Expo. There is a whole host of talent And I think that, there'll be people like Nolda that will want to go out and put the frighteners on everybody. Let's be completely truthful.
Yeah.
But then there'll be others that will want to hold back, wait for track evolution to come into their favour. Jungle Val's gone purple in Sector 3. Marvin Strehler's gone purple in Sector 2. Nolda's lighted up the timesheets purple in Sectors 4 and 5. And Nolda is now making his way through the final part of the circuit, coming out of Clearways and Clark Curve, hugging that 992 Cup car. Across the line he goes. I'm just waiting for the time to come in. 1 minute 25.058. That is the benchmark for these drivers to try and sort of chase down. Aiden Young goes in with a 1 minute 25.47, but then Marvin Strehl is only 91 thousandths behind Niklas Nolde. So there is going to be times where we saw over the latter stages of free practice just a few moments ago that the track will evolve and come to the drivers, and it will be those that decide to chance their opportunity at the right time will get the best lap in.
Yeah, we'll see, of course. Lap times get down below the 125. Second lap, usually always quicker in this Porsche Cup car. Now, I do want to clear something up here for the viewers at home. The white stripes on the left-hand side in the timing tower, those are the AM-classed cars. And the Pro cars are highlighted in green. Now, there are a few ways you can get yourself up into the Pro class. For next season, it's either you qualify in the top 35% in the first 3 races. That will get you into Pro 2. You can get 5 fastest laps, from personal fastest laps, within 1% of the fastest lap of the race. That will promote you up into pole position for next season too. Or you can win your second AM season. So for most of the AM drivers, that's not going to be in play. But if you win your second AM season, you're also promoted up into the Pro class. That's how you get promoted up into Pro. So green highlighted drivers are the Pro drivers, white are the AM drivers, just to clear that up.
Yeah, and as Dan was just explaining about that, I'll explain about the point system in just a moment. Igor Koz in the 285 has gone quickest of anybody, 1 minute 24.939. Vince Peters has gone second quickest, half a tenth adrift. So now that means that Niklas Nolde has got some work to do as the drivers make their way across the start-finish line down the iconic Brabham Straight, named after the late Sir Jack Brabham, who is the only driver that has won a Formula One title in a car that he designed, and it bared his name. And that car was the BT19. But still, we're getting some interesting times at the moment. Jungle Val in the number 686 is currently fastest in the AM class, 9th overall, and is 0.77 off of the fastest lap time at the moment by Igor Koz as we head into the last 9 minutes of qualification. But Niklas Nolde is on an absolute tear, and he's got the slipstream he's going to need. Now, the best lap so far, 1 minute 24.939. And what was that? That was 1 minute 24.592. Aiden Young goes second quickest, exactly a quarter of a second adrift. But then Igor Koz, and then Martin Strehl pops up. Well, that's the lap time for the books there. 1 minute 24.42. I think Niklas Nolde is going to have a fight for pole position. And boy, does he know it.
Yeah. I want to give it a comment on what Porsche Cup Challenge said in chat. Let's see if it's going to be hammer time. Now, I don't know about you, but I immediately got what he was referring to. And that's, of course, last season's champion, Mr. Hammer, who, oh, that's not something you want to see in qualifying. A little bit of a crash there. And the 275 of Strehl had to take avoiding action.
One of them was actually Aiden Young, whose back axle was up in the air. So that's not exactly what you want, to be completely honest with you.
Here he is.
Peters just going through the shot. There is the number 60 car, Philip Hammer, who is making his way through. Fastest in first and third sectors across the line. What's the lap time? Goes top the timesheets, 1 minute 24.305, and Hammer time has responded.
Well, there it is. It is hammer time at the moment. They also predict that Noel is going to be on the pole position. He's currently in P3 in the pits. He has already done his 4 laps, so no, it is not going to be him on pole position. It will not be able to improve. 3rd at best for him.
Yeah, exactly. And Marvin Stale has now jumped into pit lane. Igor Koz and Aidan Young have also done so. And there are some drivers that have yet to... Spencer Marsh in the number 34 is currently about a quarter away around the circuit. Jürgen Frank has just gone fastest in sector number 4 out of anybody. That is the number 175. Currently sitting 9th and rounding out the top 9 that have been whitewashed by the Pro Division. And Jürgen Frank again goes fastest in sector number 5. Jürgen Frank could spring a little bit of a surprise, I think, here. Comes across the line, was 9th. Where does that put him? That puts him 5th. Good effort there from the 175. And Hammer Time is back on cue. Sectors 3 and 4. Currently purple at the moment. The best lap time for the defending champion. 1 minute 24.305. Purple best in sector number 5. And he improves it by 99 thousandths of a second. That's one way to fire a warning shot across the bow for the opposition, isn't it, Dan?
It is. Someone setting his first lap time. Yuri Steinmetz is going to come across the line to set his first lap time of this session. Also already almost 4 laps into this session, which will mean that he has only 1 lap left. So a lot of off tracks for him. He is going to set the lap time. It's going to put him up into P16. 1.6 seconds adrift off that pole position from Philip Hammer on a 124.206. That's a quick lap time, 2/10 ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, exactly. And with these 992 Cup cars producing 510 PS, just over a shade over 1,250 kilos is the weight on the cars. But as Dan said, these cars are not assisted by any electronic stability aids, so no anti-lock brakes, no traction control. Point scoring for this season for the heat race, which will be our 15-minute first race of the evening, will be 25 points for a win and 35 points for the 30-minute feature race later on tonight. And then it all goes down, like literally you have a sliding scale. So the good thing is that you can have 3 drop scores in this and still be on a title push. But I think if Philip Hammer comes out of the blocks flying, as we saw him take a fantastic lead in the championship and then went on to win the Season 3 crown, it really does go to show that he's the one with the target on his back, but it's going to be very difficult to upset him.
He's definitely shown his pace once again in qualifying, hasn't he? Clearing Strel by about 0.2 of a second. And no one else really able to get closer than that. Maybe Daniel Thomas not lighting up the timing screens with any purple sectors, but you don't need that to set a fastest lap. Depending on who has the purple sectors, he's gonna come across the line. 36 for him at the moment. Here we go across the line. And not improving his lap time seemingly. Has 1 lap left. And currently 8 seconds off the pace.
Noah Wentz just goes up to 14th position on a 1 minute 25.55. So a good improvement there. And Wentz actually is 3rd quickest in the AM classification. Lars Vetzig is the fastest driver in the AM class at the moment as we head into the last 3.5 minutes of this session. We're on board with Samuel Sproul in the number 66, currently 17th at the moment, 1.618 seconds off of the pace, but at the moment, let's see if he's going to be improving over the course of this lap as he makes his way through Graham Hill Bend. Then it's the short blast up the Cooper Straight, which has a little bit of a left side kink, into the left-hander at Surtees. A great onboard shot, no improvements in the opening 2 sectors as he now heads down the dip through Pilgrim's Drop. And then he's going to go through into the right-hander, 90 right here at Hawthorne Hill. Again through sector 3, no improvement for this driver in the number 66 car. He's got to try and make something of it in the final 3 sectors. As Thomas now makes his way up to 12th overall That is 11th in the pro class. As we head into the final 2.5 minutes, Kenny Eckert in the 496 has a little bit of a drama going off track, but you know, Samuel Sproul has been a known quantity in this championship here, Dan, but at the moment just doesn't seem to be hooking it up like quite a few other people are.
No, not quite. Doesn't quite seemingly, can't quite find the time here on the track. And someone who I was surprised about, for the people that don't know me, part of Platinum Racing Team, Ivan Bremer currently in the pits, and he's only down in P22. Expected him to be a bit higher, but that just tells you the sheer amount of competition that there is in this league. Of course, lap times within a second, top 12, so it's seemingly very, very close.
2 seconds between the top 26, rounded out by the 34 of Spencer Marsh, who's put in a best effort of a 1 minute 26.19. There is Samuel Sproul again, who is just trying to find time. And I think he just waited a little bit late, to be honest with you. This is probably going to be more than likely his last qualifying race as such. And you know what? If he can make some headway in the first race of the night, then that is going to help him no end. Because it is, as they say, times for show, points are to go. Times in qualifying sometimes are not always reflective of what racing action that we'll get. But Samuel Sproul goes green, so does personal best in sectors 4 and 5, comes out of clearways and now down the Brabham Straight. Is this going to be an improvement for the number 66? Well, it puts him 13th. Puts him 13th, and what's more, that puts him 12th. And then he decides to pull off. That's his qualifying run completed. But there are still drivers out there. As we've got Misha Berger in the number 18, the number 5 car, currently 18th at the moment, within the top 5 in the AM classification. On that particular occasion, does not improve, but still looks to be flat out going down through Paddock Hill Bend, up Haywards Hill into Druids, which is one of the tightest places to overtake on the circuit itself. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if Vince Peters also. Well, Vince Peters goes very, very wide, coming out of Hawthorne Hill down the Minster Straight, and that is the checkered flag out for qualification. The defending champion on pole position. So here is your grid for the 15-minute sprint race coming up very shortly as they're gridding up. So it's Hammer from Schel, Nolde from Kos on row 2, Jürgen Frank and Aidan Young, row 3, Jori Steinmetz and Danny Hugendorn, row 4, Vince Peters and Lars Wetzig rounding out the top 10 with Wetzig on AM pole position. Corey Lazarus and Daniel Thomas rounding out the top 6 rows overall. Then we got Samuel Sproul, Django Val, Bruno Heinrich, Noah Vents, Stefan Heineken, Misha Berger, Bjorn Ritter, Emil Koopmans, Lee Holmes, Ewan Bremer. Then we've got Thorsten Seifert, Jaime Fierro. Then we've got Holger Miefer, Spencer Marsh, Alexander Wilfert, Marek Heister. Then we've got Glenn Humberston, Stephen Eckenrode. Then we've got Kenny Eckert, Neil Killen. And then we've got Alexander Redhead, Byron DeBello. And then we've got Mark De Bruyn, Alistair Hatcher, Michael McLeod, Gordon Ramsay, not to be mistaken with the chef, Mikey Howanek, and then we got Mark Oliver rounding out the 40-strong grid. 20 rows. That is north of a significant amount of horsepower as we are waiting for everyone to grid up. And when they do, we will be under starters' orders for the first of 2 races tonight. The 15-minute sprint race about to get underway. And then we have the 30-minute feature race a little bit later on. Just waiting for about 5 to 6 cars still to grid up. Dan, before we go green, final thoughts.
I think it's going to be a very close race. With the gaps we saw in qualifying, no one will be able to get away. Also, how can you keep the tyres alive? That's going to be a big thing too.
Exactly. So the last couple of cars set to grid up as we will have Philip Hammer, the defending champion from WS Racing Esports, on pole position. The lights are on the gantry. And now the 5 lights start to ignite. Race 1 of Season 4 gets underway. Lot of wheel spin and a little bit of a tank slapper from Philip Hammer, who gets absolutely swamped as Niklas Nolde gets through into the race lead into Paddock Hill Bend for the opening tour. They go up the hill side by side. They're looking to jockey for position, heading up to Druids. Hammer really did not get a great start as someone's gone off and into the barriers. That is Marvin Strail, I believe. There's also a couple of cars going off at the top part of Druids, down the dip into Graham Hill Bend. But I think Philip Hammer quite literally got away with that one. But Niklas Nolde has gotten away very, very quickly. The gap between him and Igor Koz as they go through out of Surtees and down into Pilgrim's Drop for the opening time is just a shade over half a second.
He did. Also dropping down the order is Lars, and well, that was the leader in the AM class before he went off track. So not happy about that for sure. Philip Hammer though got eaten up at the start, got a little bit of wheel spin coming out of his grid slot, and did not get off his start well.
Yeah, and now Niklas Nolde starting to put in the quick laps early doors to really get to break the psychological edge on those behind him, because now Danny Hugendorn is closing in on Igor Koz as they make their way out of clearways into Clark Curve as we are about to complete the opening lap of this 15-minute sprint race. Philip Hammer's got to get the hammer down, no pun intended right there, because he's currently sitting in 5th, dropping 4 positions as they come across the line. Nolde leads by 0.6 of a second. Koz, Hugendorn, Young, Hammer, Steinmetz, Peters, Sproul, Thomas, as someone has gone off at Paddock Hill Bend of all places and might have hit the front end into the barriers. Bjorn Ritter might have been that casualty. Stefan Heineken currently leading the AM classification ahead of John Gorval. The gap between them is less than half a second as they come out of Graham Hill Bend, down the Cooper Straight and into Surtees. Vetzig has had an absolute drama and a half. He's currently sitting down in 29th position. Then up the inside, that's Misha Berger going side by side, I believe, with Strel at the moment. And there is Berger towards the outside, down through Pilgrim's Drop. This is very, very hairy, but he lets Strel go through, who keeps 15th position. Now this is the battle for P3 in the AM. Well, it's not a battle for P3 in the AM class, but Berger has got past Strel and now starts to pull away ever so slightly. Just fractionally behind them is Spencer Marsh in the number 34. He's hot on their heels. And again, the amount of freight trains that we're seeing here in this P-Cup challenge for the Euro side of things. 3 minutes in, we've had more dramas than I can shake a stick at here.
We're going to take a little bit of a look back to what has happened here, because he seems to have gone off track. It is Debois, if I do my best French pronunciation. That's not what he wants.
No, that right rear of De Bello's car was not cooperating at all, and you could see that it just instantly broke out to the left-hand side. No events we're going to keep an eye on here, and he will actually be... Oh! So there were 3 cars into the wall. No events in the number 94 WS racing car. Definitely not having a great time, and that was a bit of an unsafe rejoin, I think, from my honest opinion. He could have just waited a little bit, maybe kept the car a little bit to the left-hand side. Mark de Bruyn from the Netherlands going through. Oh, he's straight on, and he was lucky to keep that car out of the wall.
He was. Back to live pictures now, and it is still Niklas Nolde leading the way. So doing a great job here in the early stages, 7/10 over Igor Koz. So he still needs to extend that gap a little bit if he wants to have, or if he doesn't want Igor to have the advantage of the slipstream, which will keep him close, but it doesn't seem like at the moment, though, Alex, that Igor Koz is going to be able to do anything with it. 8/10 back is a little bit too much.
It's only, you know what I'm going to say now, with coming up to a third of the race completed, 10 minutes and 20 on the time is still to go. This is Niklas Nolde's race to lose, more specifically. There's Stefan Heineken, who now is the new class leader in AM, currently sitting 12th positions. John Gorval is currently sitting in 2nd position in the class, in 14th, as Stefan Heineken takes a little bit of run off her. And No Events actually was in the pits for just under 53 seconds and had to keep out of the way, so a little bit of Good spatial awareness there from the 94 WS Racing Esports car. But Jungle Val, oh, that was a bit close there for comfort with Misha Berger in the number. Well, that was actually, I think that was Misha Berger, who's not too far behind. But Jungle Val is really starting to push, and right in front of him is the is the 14th place car. That's Marvin Strail in the 275 Pro car. So Jungle Val really needs to start getting a wriggle on at the moment. But I have to be completely honest here. One driver started in 13th position. He's now currently P8. That driver is Samuel Sproul, and he is on course at the moment with about just over 9 minutes and change still to go to possibly pick up the first top 10 reverse 8 grid of the season, the top 8 reverse grid pole of the season.
If he could stay there, but I bet you that Samuel Sproul will look to try and get some more positions also. Alexander Redhead here in P28. A little bit down the order. At the moment, he is 13th in the AM class, not doing too badly there. He was just overtaken by Lee Holmes, who's now starting to create a gap already, but it's all very, very close here with the top 13. You can see it on the track map. It's one long train.
Yeah, exactly, because folks, the top 25 drivers rounded out by Mikey Howanek, who started down in 39th position, now rounds that up. They are covered by just 21 seconds, which is a fraction of this 2.433 mile circuit. It is side by side between Holger Miefert and Koopmans as well. Well, there's Emil Koopmans battling away with Stuart Mott with regards to Spencer Marsh. So it is all getting a bit close for comfort. These drivers are really pushing the limits of these 510 PS flat 6 boxer engine cars, which you know, one of the things I love about sim racing though, Dan, the liveries. They look absolutely awesome. There's so much colour here tonight.
Yeah, they look striking. I do want to answer a question from Zach Sweeney in chat. Is it top 8 of each class to then do a split grid, or is it top 8 to the whole field? It is the top 8 of the whole field that we reverse for the feature race, and then we will have a 30-minute sprint, because it is that basically for these drivers to the finish. So a 30-minute feature race where we will reverse the top 8 of this race for just the overall result, not each class.
Niklas Nolder, in the meantime, has managed to pull a gap of nearly, just over 1.1 seconds ahead of Igor Koz, and there is the race leader coming through into the right-hander here at Hawthorns Hill, carrying an absolute huge lick of speed, using the curbing to the left-hand side of the exit of the corner, now through into Westfield, and this is very deceptive because now you go through the dip here at Dingle Dell, and then into the next right, which is a very, very interesting corner. Sheen curve before the next left at Sterling's, if anyone might remember when Danny Juncadella had a bit of a tank slapper in Mercedes AMG GT3. I was there that race weekend and saw it right in front of my eyes, whilst John Watson was having a coronary in the commentary box, and I was listening to him when it happened, which was absolutely entertaining. But Niklas Nolder, in the meantime, that gap is slowly extending. He's putting a 10th every single lap, and oh, there's more drama. That's Ewan Bremner. And who else has gone off with him? Oh dear, Bremner's had a bit of an opening race of the season to forget. That is not what he needed. Torsten Seifert, WS Racing Esports. So we're going to have a look now at a replay of what happened. And that is Bremer and, oh well, the car in front, that was the 193 that just lost the back end and got clattered into. That was Killin, unfortunately, and well, Bremner's Porsche is rather second-hand at the moment.
Yeah, that's not, well, nothing Bremer really could do there. Coming out of the corner, there was a car sideways and just collected the car. I don't think he could see it too. It was kind of a blind corner, I think it was going through, but yeah, nothing Ewan Bremer could do there. His race ruined, and back into the pit lane for him. Meanwhile, though, Thorsten and Seifert, they're getting close to a fight. Seifert down 10 positions on his starting grid. I think he was one of the drivers who was off at turn 1. Lucky not to pick up too much damage, but he will try and work his way through the field again. Of course, the further he can get up the field, the further he will start up the field for race 2, which will help that cause a bit.
Yep, he's trying to close that in on the 964 of Alistair Hatcher, who's made up 4 places from 36th on the grid. Philip Hammer at the moment is between a bit of a rock and a hard place because he's trying to get one up on Aidan Young, but he's got Vince Pater who's not too far behind him. And this is the battle for P4 overall. Young drifts a little bit wide coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. Nearly gave the opportunity for Hammer to send it up the inside through into Druids, but the defending champion holds back, waits for it. 4 minutes and 35 still to go on the timer. Hammer still has an opportunity. I think if he gets the run on Aidan Young, then I think Danny Hugendorn is going to have to watch his 6, because the number 60 on close from Vince Paters going through into Surtees. So Hammer has to do a little bit of avoidance in the process, and Paters is going to get the slipstream. I said about this earlier on as they go through Pilgrim's Drop. Hammer's going to take the tight line going through into Hawthorns, and there's a little bit of damage on the left-hand side of that car, so that has been in the trenches, I'm afraid, but he manages to get through down Minter Straight through Westfield and pulls the gap on Vince Paters. So that was very, very close indeed for the defending champion. Meanwhile, we go to this battle here, which has got Emil Koopmans in the number 911. Very appropriate number there. Nice, nice decision there, Emil.
Oh, that's round.
Now that was Meefoot. That was Meefoot that spun around in front of him. Meefoot spun around and caught it. Oh my goodness, Copebrand and a 360 to boot, of all places, through Dingle Dell.
Wow, that was good for him to hold it there. Just didn't do a 360 and got on his way again, but that was a tricky situation there for Holger Meefert. Luckily for him, though, able to keep going down into 25th. Leader of the AM class up into P14 at the moment, has a gap of what, about 2.5 seconds back to Misha Berger in P2 in the AM class. So a comfortable lead there for him, a healthy lead. And with what, about 3 minutes left on the clock, I don't think a lot will be changing there for the top spot in the AM class. However, though, never say never. It ain't over till the fat lady sings.
Well put there, Dunn. I have to say, you took the words right out of my mouth. Loving the camouflage look on Misha Berger's number 5 car, who's got Stefan Heineken, Monica Heister, Jaime Ferro and Spencer Marsh rounding out the top 19. But what's more, folks, that is the top 6 in the AM classification, as Niklas Nolde is putting in the quick laps. Get this, last lap around he was 4 tenths quicker than Igor Koz, as there is a car facing the other way, of all places through Clearways and into Clark Curve. That is Alistair Hatcher for the 88 Tech Racing team. Oh dearie, dearie me. And he's having to wait for everyone to get past. Now, I'm not too sure if he might have clobbered into the wall on the left-hand side of the circuit, but he's having to wait for everyone to get through. So with just under 2 minutes to go, we're on to our 10th lap of the race. So I would think we're going to have 11 laps. So next time around, we could see the white flag.
Now he can go, I think. He's not going to go. He's going to stay there.
Or is he not going anywhere? I don't think he's going anywhere unless he's had some kind of failure. I'm not 100% sure whether that was a software or hardware problem. That can sometimes happen in sim racing, but Niklas Nolde last time around was nearly 3 tenths of a second quicker than Igor Koz. It's getting a bit close for comfort. Thomas versus Sproul for 8th position, and they've got Heinrich and Lazarus right behind them. It's going to be 4 people battling over the same part of real estate, going through into Hawthorns, now through the Minter Straight. Samuel Sproul doing a fantastic job. Heinrich is trying to get through on Thomas. There is nearly a little bit of fender rubbing between the pair. Down the Minter Straight, into Westfield they go, and it's going to be sideways, and there is an incident, and 2 cars have spun around, one of which was Bruno Heinrich, and the other one was Corey Lazarus. So one went spinning one way, one went spinning the other. And heaven to Betsy, I think they're both going to be thinking, thank goodness this race is nearly over and done with. We're going to have a look at the replay here. So this is Daniel Thomas. There's a little bit of a touch between the pair. And then all of a sudden going through the corner. Yeah, Heinrich loses the back end. Well, that's Lazarus losing the back end and cuts across the circuit. And I think Thomas was rather lucky. Jürgen Frank is now in the pits as well. But we are coming down to pretty much the timer hitting 0 with Niklas Nolde at the moment leading by a comfortable margin. 3, 2, 1. That is it. Time is up. And our race leader now makes his way through Hawthorne Hill for the final time. It is the absolute launch that the number 9 got on the rest of the opposition, including, as Aidan Young's had a drama in the meantime, has dropped down to 6th position, meaning that it's all change as Philip Hammer now rounds out the top 3. But our race leader now coming through into Stirlings, which I would imagine is going to be the final time of this race itself. The timer has counted down to 0 through Clearways into Clark Curve, and Niklas Nolde comes out of the final corner, checkered flag around this time, and Nolde takes the opening win of the season overall, and isn't he ecstatic about it, swerving from side to side. Igor Koz finishes in 2nd. The defending champion Philip Hammer now crosses the line, takes 3rd. Great run by Danny Hugendorn, who started 8th and finished in 4th. Vince Peters also gained the same amount of places, finishing in 5th ahead of Aidan Young, who had drama on the final lap. Then we had the likes of Samuel Sproul, who still kept a hold of 8th position and takes the top 8 reverse grid pole position for race 2 coming up shortly. Then it is Marvin Stale and Daniel Thomas who ran at the top 10. Jungle Val at the end of it was the AM class leader. And we're going to see here a little replay. Now, this is what happened to Aidan Young, because he's battling with Danny Hugendorn round the outside, and he gets a little bit of touch. Oh, and off and sideways, and the left side gets a pretty good old wallop, but he still managed to get that car back and finish in 6th position.
He did well there to get that car home again. And I don't think he will be too happy. Django Val, meanwhile, though, winning in the AM class ahead of Misha Berger, who's still going around the circuit. There he is in the number 5. Coming through in 2nd in the AM class, and Stefan Heineken coming through in 3rd in the AM class. 4th in that class, Marnix Heiser. And 5th, Jamie Ferro, who finished in 16th overall. That was the sprint race. And, well, what do we take from that? Because that was a chaotic one. A 2-minute warm-up now, by the way, for the drivers. And then we will go to the feature race.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at that race, we had, everyone was like chomping at the bit. They were like, yes, 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 we're going to go racing. And Philip Hammer had the mother of all muck-ups when it came to the start. The rear tyres lit up. He got a bit of a tank slapper. And that gave Niklas Nolde the absolute prime opportunity to get around the outside of everyone. Sort of like he's gone and done an M&M. He's done him around the outside of one of the most fearsome, corners here in global motorsport. And that just goes to show, how difficult it is around this circuit to overtake. But if you can tee it up really, really nicely, then all credit to you. But yeah, we saw quite a few incidents. And now that I think that everyone's got that ring rust out of the way here done, I think I'm hoping that we're going to see a lot more cleaner, fairer overtakes, whereas people have been trying to send it at places where they probably thought, yeah, I'll give it a shot here, and they end up tangling with the wall. And here at Brands Hatch, the barriers are quite close to the circuit, so at the end of the day, Brands Hatch is a circuit not to be trifled with.
Not at all. Here you can see the results from last race. Of course, an amazing race there. And I think what we can take away from that is the fact that it's not going to be a run in the park for Niklas Nolde. Of course, the man who will start in 8th position now in this race, of course, due to the reversed top 8 in the feature race. These are all your results. You can easily pause the stream to see where your driver finished. 40 cars overall. A lot to go to. Your best driver out of that race was
Niklas Nolde straight away. I think also the fact that Samuel Sproul did a great job to hang on, but Nolde quite clearly was the person that really put the cat amongst the pigeons early, fired a warning shot across the bow of the defending champion, and that is where we're going to find a lot of interesting racing. But here is your grid for the 30-minute feature race, where more points are on offer. 35 for the race winner. It's Samuel Sproul and Yuri Steinmetz on the front row. Aidan Young and Vince Peters, row 2. Danny Hugendorn and Philip Hammer, row 3. Igor Koz and Niklas Nolde rounding out the top 8, with Marvin Stale and Daniel Thomas completing the top 10. It's an all-AM row 6 with Django Val and Misha Berger. Then we got Stefan Heineken and Marnix Heister. Then we got Corey Lazarus and Jamie Fierro. Spencer Marsh and Emil Koopmans. with Jürgen Frank and Mikey Hovanic rounding out the top 20. Bruno Heinrich and Lars Wetzig will be on row number 11. Glenn Humberston and Stephen Eckenrod will be on row 12 with Holger Miefert, Alexander Wilfert, Alexander Redhead. Then it's Seifert, De Bruyn, Ritter, Eckert, Holmes, De Bello, and we've got Vence, Hatcher, Killin, Bremer, Oliver, McLeod, and then we've got Ramsey at the back end of the field. There's 40 cars set to go into battle. The 5 red lights start to ignite on the starting gantry, and we are underway for the 30-minute sprint feature race here at Brands Hatch for round 1 of this season. And Samuel Sproul got an absolute textbook lightning start as everyone's nearly tripping over each other's shoelaces heading up into Druids for the first time. And quite good to see that all the cars have pretty much made it safely through thus far up to Druids, as it's nearly 3 abreast at the bottom part of the top 20. But Samuel Sproul doing a great job to start getting away. But Jori Steinmetz is trying to get up the inside. But Vince Peters has something to say about it. So does Aidan Young, as Danny Hugendorn is also trying to make some hay whilst the sun shines. But Samuel Sproul has got a lead, and that is of 8.5 tenths of a second and climbing, because the quintet behind him are squabbling like petulant children.
It's been a good opening lap for the pole sitter. Samuel Sproul has almost a second of a gap already to Aidan Young. However, or what did I say? It's already a second for Samuel Sproul at the front of the field. So he's already getting away from the drivers behind him.
We've had problems for Corey Lazarus, I'm afraid. He's dropped all the way down to 37th. Jaime Fierro has also gone off. There's more dramas as well. There is Fierro in the number 169 and has dropped all the way down to 32nd position. Another lockup I just saw there going into Clark Curve, as Samuel Sproul has just put in a 1 minute 31.992 as Fierro trying to claw his way back. Already 2 positions down the Brabham Straight, make that 3, so you can get a real good tow. You can also get the side draft from these cars as well. There's some aerodynamic properties on these cars, but even with the lack of stability control, no ABS, no traction control, you are literally, it's effectively, if you wanted to go from karting
big
into
pile up though.
There has been a massive incident coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Alexander Wilfert, Lars Wetzig looked to be involved in that, and Wetzig has dropped all the way down towards the end of the field. Corey Lazarus has now exited pit lane. There's a couple of cars with front end damage, most notably is Bruno Heinrich, as we now see what happens to Lars Wetzig in the 771. He goes round the outside, he gets a tag. That was from Thomas in the 160. So Daniel
this
Thomas
is where it all
and then
goes wrong.
as insult to injury. The number 79 of Alexander Wilfert's Porsche has got no front bonnet on it. Wetzig's 771 Porsche has got a front end that has literally had a couple of sledgehammers taken to it just to see coolant out of the car. That is not what you want, and unfortunately for the 771 of Wetzig, he's going to be in the pits for quite a long old time. But at the moment, Samuel Sproul has got a gap and a half ahead of Aidan Young. That's nearly 1.2 seconds. Jaime Fierro, in the meantime, has made up over 10 positions in the last lap alone. Driver based, more than likely, I would say, out of Spain, judging by the name itself, is on an absolute charge and has just put in a 1 minute 28.4 while circumnavigating other traffic. But Samuel Sproul leading the way, doing a great job, but the gap is coming down because Aidan Young is trying to close on in. So is the likes of Jori Steinmetz. Marvin Strahl rounding out the top 4. Philip Hammer, the current defending champion, in 5th place. Niklas Nolde. And then Stefan Heineken is leading the AM class. More importantly, both he and Misha Berger round out the top 8. There's also another driver in the AM class that rounds out the top 10 and is currently 3rd in the class. That is Marnik Heister, who has got Danny Hugendorn in front of him, but we've got a replay coming up. Oh no. Vince Peters has got a car that is not compliant. He's spinning up. Oh, we've had a car on its roof. Django Val of all people. And that of all places was coming into Pilgrim's Drop. I know for a fact that Actual Vision, aka Luke Crane, he loves it when cars go on its roof, so I might have to clip that. and send it to him a little bit later on when he's finished his work today. But Django Val having an absolute mare of a race.
Let's see if we can catch where that started. It seems like it all starts here. Oh, yeah, there he goes.
Oh.
Onto his roof, and wow.
Great avoidance by Jürgen Frank from the Team 75 Bernhard by Sim RC. Team 75 Bernhard. The team running in the DTM. With
Doesn't
Thomas
get out of it
Heining.
unscathed, though.
He didn't. No, that car is crabbing somewhat. That car is all over the shop. That's going to be a long old trip in. So we've got Val, Bader as scores, Frank, Vetzig has been in the pits for nearly 3 minutes. Oh my goodness me, 5 minutes. I thought it like we'd done already half of the race here done. My goodness, it's absolutely crazy. But behind, Heineken, Hugendorn and Berger were going side by side into Hawthorns, and Hugendorn went round the outside and he's had a bit of a drama. He's lost the position to Misha Berger. And they've had, now there was a bit of a moment. There was another moment there because Marsh got up the inside of Hugendorn, tangled with the Dutchman, and now Hovanek is looking. Oh no. Marnix Heister not having a good one in that car either, as everyone's scrambling to avoid. People are going completely sideways through into Sheen Curve, and Marnix Heister is still having to wait, and he's returned to garage. That car's in the pits. Oh my goodness, the attrition rate is absolutely ridiculous. But in the meantime, fastest lap has come the way of Niklas Nolde, as Marvin Strahl, I think, has got up the inside of Aidan Young. That was a great move through into Druids. And then Steinmetz clatters into Young and gets fired off exit stage right. And Steinmetz is into the wall hard.
Well, that was a bit clumsy. Young, of course, won't be happy with that. But what do you say about that, Alex? Could he do anything about that, really?
No, I mean, the thing was, it was the slightest of touches, and with these cars, they're so sensitive to contact, especially at the front end. But because of the fact that the engine is on the rear of the rear axle of the vehicle, you give it a little nudge on the front, that front is going to wash out completely, and that's exactly what happened to Jori Steinmetz, who I think is still. Yes, he is still running. He is still running, and he's still running in 7th place at the moment, as Daniel Thomas is closing in on as that is on. Well, there's Marsh just there, who's trying to get through on Mikey Hovanek, who's done a really good job. He's currently I think he's one of the biggest movers so far this evening. He was at the back of the grid for race 1. He started 20th in this race. He's now up to P11. Noah Vents, in the meantime, has been on an absolute tear and is currently sitting in 13th position. Get this, folks. He got unceremoniously dumped out of the race early. He got that car repaired. It's at full fitness, and he's on a tear. He's up 21 positions.
Wow.
From where he was. Oh my goodness me. Noah Vents is on an absolute tear, and I think he's going to give everyone else something to think about. But Samuel Sproul's had a massive drama. The race leader up until that point has lost all those positions, and he's down into 5th place. Marvin Strahl now takes the race lead. It looks like everyone's losing the plot, and more to the point, as anyone would say. Now this is what's going to happen. He goes into the braking zone into Surtees.
He's going to light it up.
Takes the starting line. He's going to light those rear tyres up, isn't he? Yeah, and he's off. He went rally crossing. He did a Travis Pastrana right there, and then it was side by side. I think Hammer and Nolde was side by side, and Nolde was right up the back end of the defending champion, going through into Hawthorns. So Philip Hammer now has an opportunity to start pushing. There's still plenty of time in this race, folks. 21 minutes and 20 seconds, and Samuel Sproul is going to be absolutely kicking himself for that mistake through Surtees on the previous lap.
Yeah, he won't be happy with that. That's a mistake that... It was unforced, let's put it like that. Yes, he was under pressure. It wasn't the run in the park for him. But that was an unnecessary mistake for him. Meanwhile, up ahead of him, though, Niklas Nolde and Hammer going side by side. Who's going to get this one?
Yeah, I think it could be Hammer more than likely, because he managed to keep ahead going through into Druids. He's going to get the racing line through into Surtees. He's going to have to force the issue here. Nolde goes onto the grass, keeps the throttle fully lit, and keeps it pinned. And Samuel Sproul goes, thank you very much. I'll have that one. So now Samuel Sproul fancies a bite of the current defending champion from Season 3. But we know for a fact that Philip Hammer is not going to let that one happen as long as he can help it. But now he started pulling away. And Naldo wants to quickly get past Sproul and then get up close and personal with Hammer, because that was a great exchange between our sprint race winner and the current defending champion from Season 3.
A little bit further back, Lee Holmes together with Spencer March. He's going to try and make his move for P3, so the last podium spot in the AM class. Leader in the AM class at the moment, Stefan Heineken, and Misha Berger behind him in P6 and 7 respectively. So Spencer March in third is going to try and keep it there. It looks like that gap is extending at the moment. Spencer March extending that gap to Lee Holmes. Lee Holmes not quite able to make that move last lap, and it seems like now he's overheated his tires a bit and he's losing time.
Yeah, more importantly, the AM classification, they are running quite high up the order as Emil Koopmans looks up the inside of Jaime Fierro through into Druids. This could be a change for position. Koopmans gets the move done. That's going to be a change, it's going to be for overall race position, but not an AM, as Koopmans round the outside through Graham Hill Bend on Jaime Fierro. I think that is very much the move of the night so far. That is one place where you will normally not see any overtaking happening, and Emil Koopmans made it happen. That was absolutely textbook for the 911.
As long as you're not side by side going into there, there's no way of you sending it there. Just too quick of a corner, that one, really, to try and make a move. But they were side by side going into there, and Koopmans in the end was the one coming out ahead. And what a beautiful move that was, around the outside, and kept the speed, got the exit, and in the end picked up P13 in this race overall. Still leading this race though, Marvin Strehl, and a dominant drive so far from him. Dominant drive from the German, however, off the track, almost commentator cursed him. I'm going to keep quiet here, Alex. You go on.
I was going to say, I don't believe in the commentator's curse. That was a fate of circumstance that you just so happened to be talking about him. Aidan Young, in the meantime, is 1.7 seconds behind. At the moment, Stefan Heineken is still leading the AM class, but more importantly is P6 and is just about a second ahead of Misha Berger. Probably that gap is starting to close because Berger was actually quicker on the previous lap by over over 4 tenths of a second. As we're going to see an instant replay here. Now this is Holger Miefert in the 420. His evening hasn't gone well. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better. Oh, and he hits the grass with the left rear and he clatters in to the tyre barriers on the entrance into the pit lane. Holger Miefert, what on earth happened there? He just put one left rear wheel on the grass. It spanned the car around. The left front took an absolute battering. I'm sure that Holger Miefert will probably be going into the pits, while Kenny Eckert, in the meantime, in the 496, has also gone off circuit at the moment. And has dropped to about 2.3 seconds behind. But here is another battle. We've got Stephen Eckenrode for the US, battling away with Alexander Redhead, going into the left-hander here at Sterling's. A very adverse left-hand camber. But there is Jori Steinmetz, who's right on their case. And Steinmetz, is he going to send it through into Clark Curve? Thinks better of it. And as Steinmetz, in the meantime, has dropped all the way down from what was second on the grid to effectively now, well, it looks like, right, Marvin Stale has, that was the race leader.
Yeah, it was.
That was the race leader. Has he had a sudden disconnect or something?
It looks like it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, now your new race leader here is Aidan Young. Picked up that race lead. A comfortable race lead for Marvin Strehl. And connections seem to be the issue for him there. Got it really for Marvin. That's not what you want to see, connection coming into play. But hey, that's like an engine failure in a real life car. It's something you cannot control. And that is out of your control. Nothing you can do about that. But Aidan Young will say, I will pick up the pieces from you. And I will get into P1 and do my absolute best to keep that. However, though, Philip Hammer is now going to have the opportunity, though, Alex, to see what he can do and see if he can repair what he all lost at the start of the sprint race.
Well, he's just taken nearly half a second out of the race leader.
No.
Folks, it's hammer time, and Aidan Young making another mistake. So we're now going to see a battle royale between Young, Hammer and Nolde for the overall race lead. Nolde will be looking for the double tonight, which will mean he'll get a maximum haul of 60 points this evening. But Philip Hammer is not going to wait around. He wants to make sure that he gets that lead. He took pole position in qualifying, absolutely mullered the start in race 1, and now in race 2 he started in 6th position. However, I think Aidan Young knows that the impending jaws of doom are on their way. Through into Hawthorns, down the Derek Minter straight, now into the right-hander here at Westfield before the dip into Dingle Dell. And this is where you can really make up a lot of time if you get a good exit out of the corner. Through now into the right here at Sheen Curve. You are literally a little lift off the throttle. Hard on the brakes now into Sterling's. 3rd gear, now apply the power as we ride on board with Philip Hammer. That gap now down to 0.2 of a second. Now, not even that. And I think Philip Hammer is going to line up a move on Aidan Young. If it's not through into Paddock Hill Bend, it's more than likely going to be through into Druids as they come across the line to complete lap number 11. Through into Paddock Hill Bend. A little bit of a, not hesitation, but a lift off of the throttle from Hammer as he now gets the run up the inside, through into Druids. Hammer trying to go through. Young shuts the door very, very neatly indeed. And Niklas Nolde is there, ready and waiting to pick up the pieces.
If these two collide, it's Niklas Nolde who will say thank you very much. Winner of the sprint race. Will he win the feature race too? He proved quick. It proved very quick even in the sprint race, and is now pressurizing Hammer too. If you can pressurize Hammer into making, well, an unforced error, maybe going for a move where he maybe didn't want to go for a move on Young, he could well pick up the pace from the 2 ahead, and he could well move up into 1st place. However, I don't think he wants to rush this. Still almost a sprint race length left. 13 minutes, a little bit more left of this race. It feels like, though, however, we've already had an hour of racing with all the action we've seen.
Very much agree with you there, Dan. Like I said, it feels like we've been halfway through the race and we'd only completed 5 minutes of it. But with 13 minutes to go, it is all for themselves. This top 3 covered by just 5.5 of a second. We're about to complete lap number 12. Aidan Young fractionally leads ahead of the defending champion Philip Hammer. Niklas Nolde rounding out the top 3. Samuel Sproul completing the top 4, who are all in the pro class. Stefan Heineken and Misha Berger round at the top 6. They are both in the AM classification. Mikey Horvanich has got up into 7th ahead of Spencer Marsh and Noah Wentz, with Daniel Thomas rounding out the top 10. Glenn Humberston coming through now. This is into Paddock Hill Bend, down the dip, and just loses the back end. Those tyres will be very, very much overheated and stepped, I'm afraid, for the 212 from 88 Tech Racing Team. Didn't have a good first race either. He was pointing the wrong way, if I remember correctly, heading out of Clark Curve. But these 3 down in towards Hawthorns we go again. Young still holding on to that race lead. Hammer in 2nd, Nolde in 3rd. 4/10 covered the trio. Now through into Westfield, down into Dingle Dell, and then through into the very quick right-hander here at Sheen Curve, where they literally, it's a lift of the throttle, and then into Sterling's, down the gearbox into 3rd, tight on the apex, rotate the car, now start to push the throttle down. Let's see who is going to blink first. With 11.5 minutes to go, I think between these 3 here, Dan, at the moment, it is going to be a strategic game of Porsche Cup car chess for the next few moments until someone decides to blink first.
Well, for how long can you keep these tires alive? That's the question. If you're going to light up those tires on every exit and are going to light up the front tires on every entry of a corner, let me tell you, you're not going to be in this fight for long. But it seems like these drivers are all capable of taking care of their tires, keeping them in check and fighting at the same time. Niklas Nolde, though, seemingly dropping a bit of pace. Not quite able to keep up with the pace that Young and Hammer are putting down. However, though, still very closely matched with the 2. Nicholas Nolder, though, is now going to see a move happen from Philip Hammer. He's going to go down the inside. He's going to make it stick. He is. The two
That's
up ahead
through
go side by side.
That's through Hawthorne. Yeah, that's going to be very, very close indeed. But I think Hammer might have it teed up. No, he doesn't. Aidan Young had the confidence and the carry of speed through Westfield to keep Philip Hammer at bay. But I think that was just an indication of what Philip Hammer is starting to do. You can see he's trying to put the feelers out as Nicholas Nolder nearly goes sideways out of Sterling's. He nearly had a wheel on the grass on the right rear. So this, the electric pace that these drivers are showcasing right now means that it puts them about 6 seconds up the road from Nolder down to Samuel Sproul, who continues to round out the top 4 positions. But at some point, Dan, something's got to give, and I'm not too sure when or where that is going to happen.
Well, the only thing we can hope for, Alex, here is that when it happens, it does happen clean. And usually with these drivers, we do see these moves happen cleanly. However, Nolder now all over the back of Hammer. He's going to make that move down the inside. And he's now going to feel, where can I overtake Philip Hammer? He's going to get a better exit. And who's going to come out ahead of this one?
It's close to call. They're side by side going down Pilgrim's Drop and into Hawthorns. It is going to be Philip Hammer that retains second position for the moment. And that is allowing Aidan Young to scarper away. He's got a gap of over 9 tenths. Maybe make that a second now. Into Westfield. Down into Dingle Dell they go once again before the right-hander. So it looks like Nolder's lost a little bit of momentum as well. I think you might be right that whether Nolder... Well, Nolder was very sketchy coming out of Sheen Curve. Nearly went back onto the grass again. So if he's overheated those rear tyres, what they need to do is sort of like calm down ever so slightly and then bring those tyres back to some kind of life. Because with a 15-minute sprint race, you can go all out, guns blazing. But then when you get into a race like this, there's a little bit more strategy involved. We now ride on board with Jori Steinmetz, who is closing in on Jaime Fierro in the 169. This is for 11th overall. Love the fact that Fierro's put some sunglasses on the back bumper of his Porsche. That's absolutely brilliant.
When I saw that the first time, I thought they were actually exhausts.
That's the thing. I thought, hang on, is that a Porsche MP412C with where those exhausts are placed?
Indeed.
I was waiting for some flames coming out of it, but I can see that Philip Hammer is now starting to close in on Aidan Young, because that gap, it was a significant amount, nearly the best part of a second. It is now down to less than 4 tenths. And there is Stephen Eckenrode in the number 484 battling away, and that is with Torsten Seifert, who's actually having a better race this time around. But Philip Hammer is in the window. He's in lunge range. He is about 2 tenths behind the current race leader, and there they are. It's all started closing up again. Philip Hammer now really starting to put the pressure on to Aidan Young, as Niklas Nolder now starts to get a little bit of slipstream for himself. And once again, they are back together with 7 minutes on the timing to go out of 30. Covered by 4 tenths of a second. Heading into Paddock Hill Bend, Niklas Nolder puts in the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 24.6. I think that was a 6.85 if I remember correctly. But that just goes to show as Philip Hammer nearly gets sandwiched by the 2 cars in front of him. Kenny Eckert, that was just there, going through in towards Graham Hill Bend. Looks like to have tangled with the wall. Igor Koz has been in the pits for over nearly 20 minutes of this race. So Igor Koz's feature race has not gone quite according to plan. Nevertheless, this is an enticing battle here. Apologies, folks, because there's so much action going on. But with the top 3 this close, 4 tenths of a second going through into Hawthorne Hill, as there is a mistake. Now, was there an issue there for Philip Hammer? There was a slight mistake going through into Hawthorns, and Philip Hammer losing big time to Niklas Nolder. And now Nolder thinks, right, going to see what happens here. Now, this was down into Hawthorns. So Hammer right behind. Oh, just goes nearly straight on, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Seems like he just ran a little bit deep, ran a little bit out of road there. maybe couldn't quite spot his breaking point with the big Porsche of Aiden Young ahead of him. But that just looked like an unfortunate mistake for him. They're just running a little bit too deep.
Yeah, that just goes to show that if you are pushing limited adhesion, something like that can happen. As now Nolder's swarming all over the back of Young. He's looking to the outside of Druids. That is a brave move if he tried to attempt that. He's looking for the undercut, trying to see if he can force his way through into Graham Hill Bend. This is going to bring Hammer back into the mix. Through into Graham Hill, down the Cooper Straight. Once again, these three are line astern. Nolder is trying everything. He's looking to the inside. He's looking to the outside. Through into Surtees. Hammer, I think, is just waiting as we've got 5 minutes on the timer remaining. It is game on for the race lead. Props to Aiden Young for holding on to the race lead for so long. But Niklas Nolder is looking for otherwise, going through into Hawthorne Hill. Was looking towards the outside, through into Hawthorns on Young, but could not make the move stick. Hammer's right up his exhaust pipes as we ride on board the front splitter cam. Aiden Young so far has done an absolutely brilliant defensive display so far this race, and he's got 4.5 minutes to make it all count.
Where is he going to make this move, though? It seems like everywhere Aiden Young just has it covered. Doesn't matter if it's Niklas Nolder or Philip Hammer who's going at him. He just seems to have it covered everywhere. Now maybe with a better exit out of the last corner. Can he try something into paddock? I don't think he will be able to be close enough. He pulls out, has a look. But once again, Aiden Young has that move covered.
I think the fact was that Nolder was just trying to show his nose to Young to try and see how the 427 would react accordingly. And Young knew that if he kept that door open, and Niklas Nolder would have been up there quicker than a rat up a drain pipe. And to be completely honest with you, Aiden Young has just been in complete conservation mode. He's hitting every single line, every single apex. He is not wanting to make a mistake, but Niklas Nolder again looking to the outside, down through into Hawthorne Hill, now into Hawthorns. He's looking towards the outside again. If he runs a bit wide, that's going to open the door for Philip Hammer, who is still there. Now into Westfield. Again, Young goes defensive. Down into Dingledell once more. 3 minutes and 10 on the timer remains. Now looking into Sheen Curve. Again, Nolder stuck his nose to the inside of Young, and Young was like calm and cool. Just did not flinch. He's just like saying to Nolder, yeah, if you want to get past me, you're going to have to fight for it. And that's exactly what he's wanting Nolder to do. And Nolder's right with him, coming out of Park Curve. This is getting a bit spicy, folks. 2 minutes and 3/4 still to go. I think this plus another 2 laps. And then that is it, done and dusted. But Nolder, no matter what he tries in the playbook, he's even flashing the headlights at Aiden Young to say, come on, man, get out of my way, I'm coming through. And Aiden Young is saying, you're going to have to do better than that, Sunshine, to get past me. And Philip Hammer, oh, Nolder's run wide. Philip Hammer might get through for second position, and he does, going through into Graham Hill Bed. Great anticipation from the defending champion.
There was contact between Nolder and Young, which forced Nolder to go wide, and that has allowed Hammer to go through once again. So Niklas Nolder now with contact together with Aiden Young. Aiden Young just running a little bit deep coming out of turn 2. And that has allowed now Hammer back up into P2. He's going to have another go at it. It looked like when Nolder was past, Hammer couldn't get past Nolder. Nolder now all over Hammer again. Hammer looking where he can make that move after this lap. We will go into the last lap. So not a lot of opportunities left though for Hammer.
No, and Nolder wants to get back onto the gravy train right about now. And Young has done exactly what he needed to. Yeah, there was a little bit of a touch. It was the left rear of Young on the right front of Nolder at Druids that meant that Hammer was able to thread the eye of the needle and get through. As folks, with just under 1 minute and 20 to go, we go onto the final lap of this race. And it has been a barnstormer, watching all three of these drivers at the absolute peak of their powers, doing such great racing. There has been no fair, it hasn't been a case of no fair, no foul. It has been a case of close quarter combat. No one's giving an inch, neither is anyone taking a mile. But at the moment, the battle for the AM-class lead is really heating up. Misha Berger in the zebra-style camouflage number 5 car is trying to close in on Stefan Heineken in the number 7 for the AM class lead. They are 5th and 6th overall, respectively. What a way to close out the opening round out of 12, as Philip Hammer now looks to the outside, going through into Hawthorns. He can't get through, or can he? No, he can't. This is absolutely wall-to-wall blistering action here at Brands Hatch for the feature race, and now he loses time. And that could have been his last opportunity, but it depends on Aidan Young. What will Aidan Young do? He's got to defend as if his life depended on it, because now the timer is about to expire. As they come under the Advan Yokohama Bridge for the final time, the timer now expires. It could be a drag race to the finish. Checkered flag out this time, and race 2 winner here at the opening round of the season here at Brands Hatch. It goes to Aidan Young. What a drive. Philip Hammond takes second, and Niklas Nolde rounding out the top 3 positions. And what's more, the AM classification is going to be decided. It's going to be out of the final corner, out of Clark Curve. Will Misha Berger get the run on Stefan Heineken? The checkered flag waves, and Heineken takes the AM class victory. How's about that for 2 epic classes being decided here tonight?
It was less than a tenth at the line between Berger and Heineke, so that was a close one if I've ever seen one. Didn't quite come down to the thousandths of a second, but that's well, how close do you want it at the end of a 30-minute feature race? A little bit further back though, people still coming across the line. What a race we've seen. Wow, just wow.
I think the word wow is being excessively used, and I'm going to say it. Wow, 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 wow. That was awesome. What a way to kick off the season. You know, and you know what, Dan? We've still got another 11 weeks of this. I mean, and this is just the precursor to what we could see over the course of the racing season, couldn't we?
Yeah, it is. What an amazing evening we've had. An amazing sprint race, of course, won by Niklas Nolde, and now Aidan Young winning the feature race. Of course, feature race giving you more points, though, with a reverse top 8. Nolde not quite able to get, well, through the field. He did, but getting past those last 2 drivers was a little bit too difficult for him. Tried to move on Aidan Young, coming down into turn 2. Contact between the 2. Allowed Hammer to go back past Niklas Nolde against a Philip Hammer. In the end, coming through in P2, but what a race that was. And, well, just to sum that up, we're gonna have the results here out on screen for you. We're just about now. There we go. There are they. And, well, we're going to go through them once again. What an amazing race that was, Alex. And, well,
yeah,
looking forward to already the next one.
Well, Aidan Young becomes the second different winner of the season so far. Niklas Nolde finishing in 3rd, the defending champion having a good solid evening to start his season 4 title defence. Finishing 5th in the opening race and also in 2nd position in this one. Great work by Samuel Sproul, and then Stefan Heineken and Misha Berger close. It was less than a tenth separating the first 2 in the AM classification. Daniel Thomas, Spencer Marsh, Emil Kuppelmans and Jori Steinmetz round out the top 10. Great work by Jaime Fierro to come back from that disaster in the opening stages of the feature race to finish 11th ahead of Noah Vents. Alexander Redhead finished 13th ahead of Thorsten Seifert, with Stephen Eckenrode rounding out the top 15. Mark de Bruyn, Bjorn Ritter, Django Val, who was on his roof earlier on, finished in 19th,
Can you believe
18th
that?
position.
The man was on his roof, finishing P18.
I know. It was crazy, wasn't it? Then we had Ewan Brammer. Then we had Alexander Vilfert rounding out the top 20. Glenn Humberstone, Lee Holmes, Niall Killen, Kenny Eckert and Mikey Hovanek rounding out the top 25. Danny Hugendorn, Marvin Stale, Holger Miefert, Byron DeBello rounding out the top 29, with Mardik Haster having a drama of his own, was at the sharp end of the grid, finished P30 at the end of that one. Vince Peters also was involved in that incident that saw Django on his roof. Then we had Igor Koz was in the pits early after lap 3, never came out, never resurfaced. And then we had the likes of Jürgen Frank, Bruno Heinrich, Alistair Hatcher, Corey Lazarus and Lars Vatzig rounding out the 37 strong. But Folks, we have our feature race winner, Aidan Young. Aidan, firstly, congratulations, mate. That was a hell of a race.
Thank you. I was, what was, okay, I can't talk, sorry. I just cannot believe it. Like, Nicholas and Philip, those guys are insanely fast. I mean, Marvin and Jurgen are too, but, I don't know what happened to Marvin. It's just like he went through turn one and they just pulled over, so I was a little confused about what happened to him. Jurgen, I saw him disconnect, so I guess he might have had internet issues or something. But I was just like focused on what was ahead of me. So when Philip and Nicholas were kind of throwing looks to my inside, I was like, "That's not gonna work." Like, guys, I'm only focused on what's in front of me. I'm not gonna look behind because I knew with those guys behind me, since they're so quick, if I would have looked behind, then they would have got by me and I wouldn't have gotten the win. So, but they're like us racing for the whole like last 3 or 4 laps, and whenever they caught me, it was just good racing. We raced hard, we raced clean, we raced aggressive, and it made for a good show, I think.
I mean, Brands Hatch, we all know, is a very, very close circuit in terms of the barriers when it comes to the proximity of the track itself. But it is a very difficult track to overtake at, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That is absolutely right. The only places where you can really overtake is when you come down the hill out of turn one, going up the hill to turn two. You can send it up the inside there, but you have to be close. Or if uh, or if you're Marvin in that case, you gotta have the balls to send it from like 2 or 3 tenths back. uh,
That's true. That's very, very true. But to come out on top of not only the defending champion, but the race, the sprint race winning tonight, that gives you a lot of good feeling because obviously in a week's time we go to VIR for round two. What are your thoughts ahead of that round?
well, VAR is my home turf, so I want to try and get the best result possible. But
Mm.
at the same, well, wait, hold up. Actually, I'll take that back because I don't know if I'll make it because I'm racing in real life on that weekend. But I will certainly be watching to see who wins and gets like most improved driver and whatnot. But I have a feeling that the winners is going to be between Jurgen Frank, Nicholas Nolde, and Philip Hammer because those guys are just super super quick and they all race very clean. They're all really good drivers, and it was just super fun racing with them today. And that's actually my best result in the EuroLeague. So super super happy with that.
Well, Aidan, we'll let you get off and have a little bit of respite and have a bit of a chill out and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. But well done for winning the feature race, and yeah, good luck with the IRL stuff next week, and we'll hopefully see you back for Monza at round three.
Thank you. And also, I would like to say your guys' commentating was on point. You guys did a really good job.
That means a heck of a lot. That really does. Thank you very much, Aidan, and we'll leave you to it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for round three.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Dan, I mean, great to have Aidan with us, of course. We send all the very best of luck to Aidan next week for his in real life racing
Yeah.
exploits, and that he's going to be tuning in. But I think for driver of the day, it has to go to Aidan. The way that he put on that defensive masterclass
Oh yeah,
and did
for
not
sure.
give either of them a look in edgeways, it just really goes to show that Philip Hammer and Nicholas Nolde have got to be worried somewhat, I think.
They both tried it. They both got their opportunities to try and get past Aiden, but they both couldn't do the defensive masterclass, like you said, from Aiden Young. And because of that, I think, driver of the day will have to go to Aiden Young. A close second, though, for Nicholas Nolde.
Yep.
Qualifying well, winning the sprint race, and getting close once again in the feature race. So a close second for Nicholas Nolde. But at least a good start of the season for him. But yeah, driver of the day for us is Aiden Young.
So, folks, that really wraps up the coverage here of the opening round of Season 4 of the Porsche Cup Challenge here at Brands Hatch. Next week, we head to Virginia International Raceway, or as it's more commonly known, VIR. So, effectively, at the moment, Nicholas Nolde is your current overall points leader. Looks to be very, very spicy as well. And on behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt and Dan Pepples, thank you very much for tuning in. We've really enjoyed some Porsche Cup car action. We'll see you next week on March the 26th. Don't forget you can catch up with round 2 of the America's P Cup Challenge on March 23rd. Until next time, thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you very soon. Good night.